Hello and welcome to an introduction to VISOGRAPHY TRACC. Here what we're going to do is run through a quick calculation for Leicester, looking at how easy it is to use that new system. So the first thing I'm going to do is create a new project called VISOGRAPHY TRACC and wait for the application to load up. The great thing about a new product, VISOGRAPHY TRACC, is it's really flexible on what you can do in the application. You can use a mixture of public transport and road datasets to produce any type of output that you require. So the first thing I'm going to do here is create a new project called Leicester. I'm going to go OK and wait for the application to store that into its database. It uses a SQL Server to store all of its datasets, which allows it to store up to 10 gigabytes of data, which can be used for no extra charge whatsoever. So now we've got Leicester created as a project, I'm just going to open it up and start importing some data. So the first thing I'm going to do is import some public transport data. What I've got here is I've got some bus data. There's a CIF file. I'm just going to load that in and call it Leicester Bus and wait for that to import in and make it active. This data is from our own National Public Transport Dataset repository. It's a new dataset that we produce every 3 months, replicating the old MPTDR data. And the great thing about this data is not only is it updated regularly, but it also goes back to a snapshot of data. So it's a weekly snapshot of public transport data for the whole of Great Britain. As I said, it's a new dataset we've released, and please feel free to have a look at our website for further details on it. Also, we can load in transit exchange data into TRACC, and also we're working on the GTFS data, which will allow the product to be used internationally as well. Okay, so as you can see here, we've got some data in, we've got some detailed error checking as well. So this is showing us that the arrival time is less than departure time, and you can go back and change the data if required. I'm just going to close that down and go straight to my road network tab, where again I'm going to import some data. Again, we've got various importers available to us, from ITN and Urban Path data to our other, which we're going to use at the moment. So I've got some Meridian 2 data, which I'm just going to load in. We've got various options here. I'm just going to skip through these just to load the data directly into the application. You can use things like accurate car speeds. You've had applications where it's using things like TomTom data, INRIX data, and other premium speed data sets. So please feel free to get in contact for a detailed quote on any of them. So here's our road data, showing in the map along with our public transport data. The next thing we'll do is look at the origins. In this instance, the origins are going to be a grid that's created to the Leicester boundary. So find out where the boundary is, just here, the city of Leicester. I'm just going to call it a boundary. I'm going to put 250 metre grid spacing in there and go OK. We'll then notice we've got a grid. If I just zoom in to this layer so it fills our screen, here you can see where the Leicester boundary is, and there's a grid that's perfectly populated amongst that. The next thing we'll do is work out where the hospital is located. So I've got an Excel spreadsheet here with the hospital data in it. I'm going to call it A and E. We can see we've got the details underneath, so we've got Leicester Infirmary, the address of it and the postcode. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use the postcode to actually select where it sits. I'm going to bring the name across. And using the inbuilt geocoder, it will then populate on the map exactly where the hospital is located. You can see it just there. And the next thing I'm going to do is do a calculation with our data. So I'm going to do public transport and road network. So I'm going to look at accessibility to the hospital on a Tuesday between 10 o'clock in the morning and midday. We've got other various options here as well. We can also have the option to save the full origin destination path file if required. What I'm going to do is run through and finish this and let the calculation run through. So what it will do is it will work out every single one of our origin points. So we've got around 1,000 of them. If you have a look on our origin tab here, we've got 1,171 origin points in our Leicester region. It will work access from every single one of these points to our destination. Again, our destination being the A and E, showing the one option just here. Just whilst this runs through, I'll give a quick run through of the application. So it works left to right. We've got our home tab, our public transport tabs, our road network tabs. We've got full edit functionality on the road network and the public transport data. We've then got the origin tab, so where points are generated from. We can use things like co-point data, so if you've got, as we saw, our destination, a postcode and some names, we can utilise that data. Alternatively, we can add data from shapefiles, from access databases, anything that's got an east and north position can be loaded in as well. And we've also got importers for other transportation software as well, so if you have any other sort of accessibility tool that uses access, we can load that data directly in here, and again we've got our manual creation tools that can be utilised as well. We've got our destination data, so again it's a similar kind of data set here that we've just utilised. Census data we can utilise as well, so we can load in anything from the 2001 census to the 2011 census. We've had some mid-year estimate data being used in there. We've heard uses of ACON data being used in TRACC as well, and we can basically load anything that's got a boundary file and some population data for that boundary. The calculation tab, so we've got our origin destination, which is the one we've just done here. Local accessibility is our calculation going to public transport stops. There'll be another video that highlights that in the future. We'll wait for this to run through to show us the results. In the settings file, we've got the options to, for example, back up the data, so we can easily back up it as a SQL backup, and that can then be easily shared amongst colleagues or amongst other departments if required. And we've got a settings file where we can change all the default settings in the application. Okay, so now the calculation is finished, we can decide how we want to interpret the results. And the most common one is doing a contour, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to double click on the result. I'm going to choose a 30-minute contour, so I'm going to do 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. If I then go OK, it's then going to produce that contour on the map for me. If I turn off my origin points, it'll be a bit clearer. I can easily restyle it if I want, so I can go style layer. I can actually want it to go green to red. I can ramp to colours and go finish, and it'll update for me. And you'll also notice if I zoom in, it will then turn on all the minor roads as well. That's it for this quick introduction to TRACC today. Please stay tuned for further videos showing other features of the application. Thank you.